Hey everybody, welcome back to Fireside Chats with Farina. Hey, today we're still talking Mansfield Park, and today we're going to talk about soldiers. Last episode we talked about the clergy, today we're going to talk about soldiers. And this is another one of those themes. Every book has somebody in the soldiers, everybody who's in the military, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal to Jane because of what her brothers did, but it's also a big deal because the soldiering at the time was, again, just like being a member of the clergy, it was an honor. So if you are a wealthy person, right, and you served as a soldier, that was just pretty much how it was done. You spent your time in the military, you kind of did your service. But if you're not a well-to-do man, but you join the military, it can do things for you. When we get to persuasion, we'll talk more about that part of it. But for this, we think about, there's a couple of, the soldiers in this book are Fanny's dad and Fanny's brother, both called William. William Sr. was in the Navy, and he leaves the Navy, and he's injured, and there's this whole thing, and he's like, probably has PTSD, which didn't exist at the time as a phrase, but that's clearly what he has, and he's depressed, and he's become an alcoholic, and his time in the Navy didn't serve him well. But William, because he's the oldest son of a poor man, and he's, there's 10 of them, he sees joining the military as his way to take the burden off of his family, but also to take care of himself. He's not going to be relying on anybody. He's going to do his time. And there's a way, you join the military and you can get promotions, you can get new jobs, you can get training. Like that is a way to a career. And still to this day, 2025, that is still true. The difference is that back then, and really even up to like 30, 40 years ago in America, in particular, but in the world in general, people who were well-to-do, they still joined the military. It was still a thing you did. A lot of our, Jimmy Carter was in the Navy. George H.W. Bush jumped out of airplanes. George W. Bush, he was in the Air National Guard. Obama didn't serve, Clinton didn't serve, Trump didn't serve, Biden didn't serve, but he was in the Senate since 35, but his kids did. So it's like this is just a thing that people used to do, and it's sort of gone out of fashion. And now it's like, and this is what is so fascinating about Mansfield Park, the way that soldiers are seen in Mansfield Park, is that it is the way for somebody who is the lower caste. I know I'm using air quotes there, because there wasn't a caste system there, but there was clearly a class system in place in England at the time. There's still a class system everywhere, and we'll talk about classes in the next episode. But this was a way for people to grow. So William is seen as a hero, and the cool thing about it is because just like Edmund, William's heart is pure, and so when he joins the Navy, everybody respects him, and everybody wants to look out for him. And Sir Thomas is like, I know a guy, I know your captain, I know this guy, I know you're a commanding officer, let me send a good letter. And those things went a long way in having a letter to recommend you, or having someone say, ooh, I'm going to get you on this good ship, and the reason this ship is good is because they make a lot of money, and there's all kinds of things that go along with that. There was this honor, and you leave, and when you're done being a soldier, and you leave with this level of respect if you do it well. And of course, just like anywhere, there's scoundrels, and in other books we meet people who join military and who are scoundrels and who are monsters, and we'll get there. But not here. Ties in once again with the theme. Our main hero, she's good. So when we think about the clergy in this book, we see the good side of the clergy. When we think about the military in this book, we see how the military, with the right intentions, William has the right intentions, he's a good guy. Edmund has the right intentions, he's a good guy. And just like our heroine, like these sub-characters, they follow along. So when we learn about our heroine, we can get a sense of things. Now we get a sense of sensibility. There's two heroines, so that's a whole other thing. But it is really interesting to see how those things diverge, how these particular types of characters diverge. But I really, as I'm doing this rethink about Mansfield Park for this, I really am noticing these really amazing details and more of Austen's genius, that she is setting you up to show you what could be. This is a way for financial freedom. This is a way for you to be your own person. This is a way for you to do good in the world, be a member of clergy, be a soldier, a sailor in this case with William. But this idea of joining the military and the joy that it brings. And like the heroine, Fanny, is so proud of him. She's so proud of him because he's such a good guy, and he takes it. He's proud of himself. He's doing a service. And I think there's something to be said about that. I do think that in 2025, we don't necessarily see military service again in this way. We see it as like, oh, it's, people from a lower class join, or people who don't have any other choice join, or people send their kids to military school because they're troubled and they need to join that, instead of looking at it as like this amazing career opportunity where you're going to learn all these skills and you are a good person. And yes, our soldiers asked to do things that they don't necessarily approve of course. Do they put themselves in harm's way to protect us? Yes, they do. And is there something noble in that? There is, if they are noble themselves. And William is so noble, and we see it through Fanny's eyes. And we, as readers, he's just really one of my favorite siblings. We get a lot of siblings in the series of our heroes and of our heroines, and I really like William so much. When we get to my version of Mansfield Park, he becomes a very important character, because I think I personally believe it's Fanny's moral compass that wags his dog, even though he's the older brother, but you see it on full display. And so it's just really lovely. It's a love letter to doing service, and William is such a good character, just like his sister, and we can all sort of learn a moral lesson here from the Price children of how to be. So that's the thought on that. I think you should really take a look at it, take a deep look when you're reading Mansfield Park. Take a look at William, take a look at how the military is perceived there, and hopefully you'll think about how it's perceived now. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.